Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We from the group 4 will present about the personal service cycle. Before that, I will introduce all group members. The first myself, named Amitia Mur Claude, name 180079. The second, there is Azzahra Raihana, name 180142. The last is Shinta, name 180192. Immediately we go to discussion, planning the audit of the personal service cycle. An entity personal service cycle involves the event and activity that pertain to executive and employee compensation. The type of compensation includes salary, hourly incentive, based work week, commission, bonus, stock option, and employee benefit. The major cause of transaction in this cycle is payroll transaction. The account affected by this transaction are shown in figure 16.9. Next, select specific audit objective for the personal service cycle. There is three description: is extraction category, transaction class audit objective, account balance audit objective. The number one is existence or occurrence. In transaction class audit objective is recorded payroll expense and payroll tax expense related to compensation for service rendered during the period. Account balance audit objective accrue payroll and payroll tax liability balance represent amount owed at the balance sheet date. The completeness category transaction class is recorded payroll expense and payroll tax expense include all such expense incurred for personnel service during the year. Account balance is accrue payroll and payroll tax liabilities include all amount owed to personnel and governmental agency at the balance sheet date. The next is right and obligation category. There is no transaction class, but in account balance is accrued payroll and payroll tax liability are obligation of the reporting entity. Next is pollution or allocation category. Payroll expense and payroll tax expense are accurate, compute, and recorded. In account balance, accurate payroll and payroll tax liability are accurately computed and recorded. For factory labor, the second is factory labor distribution are correctly computed and recorded. The last one is presentation and disclosure category. In transaction class audit objective is payroll expense and payroll tax expense are properly identified and classified in the income statement. In account balance, accurate payroll and payroll tax liability account are properly identified and classified in the balance sheet. The second is the financial statement include appropriate disclosure for pension and other benefit plans. Next is using the understanding of the business and industry to develop audit strategy. Personal service may vary in importance to various manufacturers, wholesalers, and retailers. Some industry may vary badly on the labor intensiveness of the manufacturing process. Before proceeding with the audit of personal service, it's important for the auditor to understand. The number one is the importance of personal service to the overall entity. Second, the nature of compensation, as following compensation requires a different control system than salary compensation. Third, the importance of various compensation packages as bonus, stock option and stock appreciation right, and pension agreement.
Materiality. For software companies and service firms such as bank, insurance companies, and professional firms, personal service is a major expense. The growth of the service sectors in the U.S. economy and the importance of human capital to the value of many technology and software companies makes the personal service cycle a material audit area for many companies. Inherent risk. The auditor is rarely concerned about the completeness assertion in the payroll cycle, as most employees quickly follow up with their employers if they are not paid. However, payroll fraud, existence, or occurrence is a major concern for the auditor. Fraud may occur at two levels. Employees involved in preparing and paying the payroll may process data for fictitious employees and then divert the paychecks to their own use. Alternatively, management may overtly misclassify or paid labor costs in government contract work to defraud the agency. Inherent risk may be high for existence or occurrence, valuation or allocation, and presentation and disclosure assertion. Analytical procedure. The auditor will normally perform analytical procedure early in the audit of the personal service cycle because they are cost-effective. Analytical procedure may be useful in identifying potential fraud, such as when gross payroll per employee exceeds the auditor expectation. Next, common documents and records. The first one is personal authorization. Memo issued by personnel department indicating the hiring of an employee and each subsequent change in the employee status for payroll purpose. The second one is clock card, form used by each employee to record hours worked daily during a pay period. It is used with time clocks that record the time on the card. Time ticket, form used to record time worked by an employee on specific jobs. Time work is often mentioned imprinted. Next is payroll register. Report showing each employee's name, gross earning, payroll deduction, and net pay for pay period. It provides the basis for paying employees and recording the payroll. Impress payroll bank account. Account to which a deposit equal to the total net payroll is made each pay period, and on which checks for salaries and wages for employees are drawn. Next is payroll checks, which is order drawn on a bank to pay an employee. It is accomplished by a detachable memo indicating gross earning and payroll deduction. Next, labor cost distribution summary. Reports showing the account classification for gross factory earnings for each pay period. Next, payroll tax returns. Forms prescribed by tax authorities for filing with payment of taxes withheld from employees and employers' payroll taxes for Social Security and federal and state unemployment. Next, employee personal file holds pertinent employment data for each employee and contains all personal authorization issued for the employee, job evaluation, and disciplinary action if any. Next, personal data master file. Computer file containing current data on employees needed for calculating payroll, job classification, wage rate, and deduction. And the last one is employee earnings master file. Computer file containing each employee gross earning, payroll deduction, and net pay for the year to date by pay periods. Function and related controls. The processing of payroll transaction involves the following payroll function. The first one is initiating payroll transaction, including hiring employees and authorizing payroll change. The second one is receipt of service, including preparing attendance and timekeeping data. And the third one is recording payroll transaction, including preparing and recording the payroll. And the last one is paying payroll, including paying the payroll and protecting unclaimed wages, filing payroll tax return. Obtaining an understanding and assessing control risk. The procedure used to obtain and document the understanding of the internal controls components for payroll transactions are the same as for the other major classes of transaction. The process of assessing control risk for payroll transaction begins with identifying potential misstatement and necessary control. In assessing control risk, the auditor realized that misstatement in payroll may result from unintentional error or fraud. Of particular concern is the risk of overstatement of payroll through the following. Number 1, payment to fictitious employees. Number 2, payment to actual employees for hour not worked. And the third one is payment to actual employees at higher than authorized rates.
Two tests of control pertaining to control risk for the existence or occurrence assertions are: 1. The test for terminate employees, and 2. Witnessing a payroll distribution. In witnessing the distribution of payroll checks, the auditor observes that 1. Segregation of duties exists between the preparation and payment of the payroll. 2. Each employee receives only one check. 3. Each employee is identified by a badge or employee ID card. 4. There is proper control and disposition of unclaimed checks. Substantive tests of payroll balances. First, determining detection risks. Factors contributing to high inherent risk for existence or occurrence and valuation or allocation assertions related to payroll transactions have been noted earlier. However, evidence of effective control over this risk in many cases permit low assessment of control risk, resulting in moderate or high acceptable levels of detection risk for most or all payroll assertions. Consequently, substantive tests of payroll balances are often limited to applying analytical procedures to the expense accounts and related accruals, and limited tests of details. If the analytical procedures reveal unexpected fluctuation, more extensive tests of detail will be required. Secondly, designing substantive tests. When no unexpected fluctuations are revealed by analytical procedures, the auditor has obtained evidence in support of audit objective related to the existence or occurrence, completeness, and valuation or allocation assertions. Text explanation of specific substantive tests for payroll balances are limited to the following procedures: 1. Recalculating accruals. 2. Auditing employee benefits and pension plans. 3. Auditing stock option and stock appreciation rights. 4. Verifying officers' compensation. And the last but not least, value-added services in the personal services cycle. Personnel management is core process for many companies. The primary issue is how the auditor uses the knowledge obtained during the audit to provide value-added services to his or her client. When performing the audit, many CPS monitor revenue per employee and evaluate performance relative to others in the industry. CPS who understand the industry can often help clients identify opportunities that may assist in growing revenue per employee. When auditing expenses and profitability, a CPA will often evaluate employee productivity statistics. CPAs are often skilled in developing means to hold responsibility centers accountable for the use of resources. In this case, the payroll research. CPAs may assist clients by 1. Suggesting appropriate measures of employee productivity, or by 2. Identifying steps that a client may take to improve employee productivity. Thank you.